At the end of 71, Bangladesh became an independent country. Then you celebrate it when it comes to that level. I immediately resigned from my job at the university where I taught. I said, I'm going home. And I came back. It was a devastated country. Many people were dead. Many people lost everything. And devastation everywhere. So I joined university there in Chittagong. This is a new university. This is a 100-year-old university. Beautifully built new university, as good as beautiful as any university anywhere. But right in the middle of the villages. Unlike many of the universities in the world, Chittagong University was established. New department, I became the chairman of the department, so they were excited. Put full force to build up the department. But the economy of the country was sliding down very fast. By 1974, we had a terrible famine. Many of you may remember, people died of hunger. Then it creates a lot of tension inside everybody, particularly tension in me. What is it that I teach in the classroom? I was full of joy, full of excitement when I teach economics. Such a beautiful theories, elegant theories, lovely, lovely theories. And I thought that I want to do best how to communicate this to my students. Suddenly my enthusiasm disappeared. A big question came to my mind. If these theories are so good, so beautiful, how come it has no solution to the people I see just next door in the village? These are, to me, look like these are empty words. These are fairy tales. It's good as a story, but not good in people's life. So I lost complete faith in what I teach. A teacher, when he loses his faith in the subject he teaches, he no longer can function. And at the same time, I felt I'm a totally useless person. I have no use for anybody. What I learned, this is empty. Now I became an empty person. How do I relate myself to the world that I see around me? How do I discover some worth in me in some way? After going through this emotional crisis, I came to a decision. I said, forget about economics, forget everything else. They never taught me anything. Why don't I go to the village which is just next to me, outside the boundary of the campus? See if I can make myself useful to one single person. If possible, each day, in some way to make myself related to that person, some way I can be useful to that person, even for a day. So I decided to go out and be with the people. Nobody knew me, I didn't know anybody. So it's a good orientation to begin. They looked at me as a stranger. I looked at them with the apologetic eyes, sorry, I can't do anything. But I never gave up. I thought I'll find some worth in myself, that how do I make myself useful to somebody. And I felt strong because I thought I may not know how to do it, but definitely as a human being, I can find some way to relate to another human being. So as days went by, months went by, I found things to do, little things here, little things there. And I started little bit waking up that yes, I'm doing something. I found some work in myself. As I went around, suddenly I feel I have in another world that I never was introduced to. The first time I see this is a world that I have to learn all over again. So that village became my new university, to learn from them how they work, how they function, who they are. But then I saw something happening every day, repeatedly. Loan sharking in the village. People giving tiny loans, moneylenders giving tiny loans, and grab the life of the people completely. Take full control of their life and dispossess them totally just by lending money. You read stories about it, you see it in literatures, in novels, in plays, but you never face this kind of thing face to face. You hear the story, each one of them, how they were exploited, made them totally dispossessed. Then a new thought comes to my mind. How come this thing continues and nobody pays any attention whatsoever? And economics never taught me anything about it. This is something relevant to economics, but nobody told me anything about this. How does one address this problem? How to protect people from the loan sharks, moneylenders? Then I felt it's such a big problem, entrenched problem, so deep-rooted in our society. It's not just one village next to the university campus, all over Bangladesh. And you look around, it's all over the world. The more you think about it, the more you feel so small, you cannot do anything in front of such a big, big problem. And suddenly it came to my mind, I may not be able to solve the problem of the whole world, but I can solve the problem of few people in this village. And that's what I wanted to do, be useful to some people, not everybody. I would love to do it everybody, but I don't have the capacity to do it. But I can do it for few people, 1, 2, 3 people. Why don't I do it now? And the idea that came to my mind, why don't I lend the money myself? If I lend the money, people will come to me to borrow. And they don't have to go to the money lender. And the problem for them is solved. If they don't have to go to money lender cannot extract things from them. So I become their protector by giving them the money myself. I was very excited. This looks like a great idea. I can do that. And I don't have to consult anybody. I don't have to take anybody's permission to lend money. I just took the money from my pocket, said, here is the money. You need the money, how much? Here is the money. In the beginning, people were shocked. They were suspicious. Maybe this is a new money lender. Maybe he will do it worse than the others. I said, no, you use the money. Whenever you're ready, you give me money back. You just give me the money back, that's all. They couldn't believe that anybody could lend money such a thing. After they overcome the first shock, they got excited. More and more people started coming to me to take money. And I was delighted. Delighted because I felt that I have done something to those people because they are so excited. It became a sensation in the village. This guy gives money. So since everybody is tied to the money lender, so I have the whole village coming to me. And I was so excited, I'm merrily giving away my money. I have done it 1 month, 2 months, it became bigger and bigger. Then I started worrying, what happens after all my money runs out? Do I have to stop? Where do I find the money after all money goes? Then I thought about the bank. I said, why don't I go to the bank, ask them to lend the money? Why should I lend the money? Then I went to the bank, located right in the campus. The bank manager literally fell from the sky. He couldn't believe I'm saying things like that. He says, Professor, bank doesn't lend money to poor people. I said, why not? He cannot answer my question. I don't understand his reasoning. All he says, they are not creditworthy. I said, how do you know they are not creditworthy? His answer was, everybody knows that poor people are not creditworthy. I said, I don't know. You tell me, how did you get that idea? I said, have you done this yourself? He said, no, I didn't do it. Then how do you know? So it is non-starter. I cannot convince him, he cannot convince me. The more he protects his bank's rules, the more aggressive I become. I thought this is absolutely wrong. Then I said, you created an institution so badly designed, so wrongly designed. Because bank is supposed to lend money to people. And you lend money to people who already have lots of money. And you don't lend money to people who don't have money. I said, it doesn't make sense to me. I thought the logical thing should have been the other way. You lend the money to people who don't have money. He laughs. He thinks I'm joking with him, but I'm very serious. He says, why don't you go and talk to my bosses on the top, in the headquarters and so on. So I took his advice. I went to see the big bosses. And they give me the same answer. Bank cannot lend money to poor people. I don't give up. They don't change their mind. It goes on for months. I see this guy, I saw this guy, I go to that bank, I go to that bank. Everybody says the same thing. Finally, I came up another idea. I offered myself as a guarantor. I said, I'll be guarantor. I'll sign every piece of paper you give me. And I take the risk. You think they are not creditworthy, they will not be able to pay back? I cover it. I'll sign your papers. If anybody doesn't pay, I'll pay for him. If nobody pays, I'll pay for everybody. They couldn't believe such a crazy guy. He wants to pay. He knows they will not be able to pay, and he has to pay for everybody. I said, no, I'll pay for everybody. I'll give you a signature. You give me any paper. So it took them about 3 more months to think whether they should go through it. Finally, they agreed to accept me as a guarantor. Not because they liked my idea. They were absolutely sure this thing will never work. So sure that they will start it, and in about the next 3 or 4 months it will stop because they will be asking money from me, and I won't be able to pay. So I said, no, I don't need any more money. I'll surrender to them. But that's not how I was thinking. I was thinking it will work because it's working with me. So that's how it worked. I was delighted that finally I found a solution. I started giving money, and it worked beautifully. Every single penny came back. And over time, banks became very reluctant because it's getting bigger and bigger. They were absolutely sure someday it's going to collapse. And there will be so much money that I won't be able to pay, all their money will go. Seeing their reluctance, a new thought came to my mind. Why don't I create a new bank just for the poor people? These banks will never give to them. So that idea haunted me. I designed, redesigned how to make it, to convince the central bank, to convince the finance ministry. Again, to make a long story short, In 1983, we got the government clearance to create the bank. It started in 1976. So we became a formal bank in 1983. We were absolutely delighted that finally we have our own bank. So we continued to expand and expand. Today we have 8.5 million borrowers in that bank. Almost all of them are women. 97% are women. An amazing thing, as you are mentioning, this started with $27. That was the first loan given to many people. And I kept on giving many more amount of money to the people. But still very small. Now last year we lent out from Grameen Bank over $1.5 billion all to these women to continue with their business and so on. And people ask me, how did you design this bank? There's such intricate details in this you have done. I didn't realize that we did anything intricate, but they say you have done so many intricate things. How did you do that? Did you do some research? Because you are an academician, probably you studied a lot and did the research and finally created this structure. I said, none of that thing. I know I don't do research. I go straight into work. They can't figure out what it is. So I have to answer that question because it comes so frequently. So answer became very simple for me. I said it was very simple how I did it. Since I never had any academic work in banking, I never learned anything about banking. I have nothing to do with banking. I don't know anything about banking. So whenever I need to know how to do this type of thing, whenever I need a rule, I just look at the conventional banks, how they do it. Once I learn how they do it, I just do the opposite. And it works. Very simple formula. They go to the rich, I go to the poor. They go to men, I go to women. They want to do it in the city center. All the big branches are on the city center and around. I decided not to do anything at the city at all. I go to remote villages. Now, about 40 years of Grameen Bank, we have more than 2,600 branches in Bangladesh. Not a single branch of Grameen Bank is any city anywhere in Bangladesh. So we don't work in the city. We just work in the villages. And we made a rule, people should not come to bank, bank should go to people. So everybody has to come to our office. Our office is irrelevant for our borrowers because we go at their doorstep. I mentioned that we have 8.5 million borrowers. They are all over Bangladesh. In every single village of Bangladesh, Bangladesh has more than 80,000 villages. We work in every single village of Bangladesh. And our work is done in a weekly cycle. Everything is done within a week. So we meet all our 8.5 million borrowers in 80,000 villages of Bangladesh, go there at their doorstep and do business at their doorstep. Never fails. That's what Grameen Bank is. Conventional banks require collateral. If you don't have money, if you don't have wealth, they're not going to give you a penny. We dismissed it right away. Forget about collateral. Because we're dealing with people who don't have anything. These are assetless people. So if you ask for collateral, they will never come anywhere near you. So what did we do? We just started lending money without any collateral, without any document, nothing. People get scared. How do you do that? I said, because it works. So we don't have any legal papers between the lender and the borrower. Since you don't have legal papers between lender and the borrower, you don't need any lawyers. We are the only lawyer-free bank in the whole world. And it works so beautifully. Our life is so simple. And what is the trick, they say? How do you do that? Why people should pay you back? I said, I don't know. Probably it's a mutual trust. We finally found out what trust is. I tell the bankers, I said, you know, credit, the word means trust. The bankers took that word credit and created in an institution based on distrust. They don't trust anybody. They bring their lawyers the moment they want to talk to you, get you to sign their papers so that they can take you to the court. We said, forget about it. We don't need any papers. My bankers friend got very worried. They said, how can you lend money without any papers, without any collateral? I said, can you sleep at night? Giving away so much money without any papers? I said, I have very peaceful sleep. But I get worried seeing my banker friends losing their sleep